Hello and welcome or welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing a review of The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Before I get into that, I just want to start off with just a little note, a reminder. After I finished this book last night, I was really heavily thinking about it. I started watching some author interviews with R.F. Kuang as well as other booktubers reviews, and I started to notice something, okay? Reviewers, particularly white reviewers, will read the work of an author of color and say that they can't relate or that it's unoriginal, or basically go out of their way to compare it to a book by a white author. And y'all gotta stop. Cut it out, because y'all literally read the same 3 tropes by white authors over and over again with no complaints. I don't know where this is coming from, but it doesn't matter if you can't relate. You might not even be the intended audience. Maybe you're not supposed to relate, but that's okay. Also, calling authors of color unoriginal for doing a particular trope, like with the author of We Hunt the Flame. She has a new book coming out and somebody said it's Six of Crows but with T. No, Leigh Bardugo did not patent the heist. She didn't invent that. Just because y'all like Six of Crows, which I do too, does not mean that every other book with a heist is a knockoff of Six of Crows. That's not how this works. Somebody compared The Poppy War to something that J. Kristoff wrote. Stop. It's annoying, and you're discrediting authors of color for what? Like, why are you going out of your way to do that? So that's my little rant before I get into my review. Just stop doing it, because it's annoying. So now into the review. I had a lot of feelings after reading this. I really struggled with what I wanted to rate it, because I have a lot of conflicting feelings. The reason that I'm rating this book highly is because it did make me feel a lot of things, which is interesting because I kind of hate Ren. I don't really like her at all. But let me back up. So in this we follow Ren, who is a war orphan of the Second Poppy War. She lives with her foster family who is abusive, and she realizes that she has 2 options. She can either get married off to a man that's like 3 times older than her, or she can study really hard, get into the military academy at Sign Guard, and that will be her way out. So Ren goes to take this test, and she manages to get the top score in her province, which means she gets to go to the top academy in the country, and it's tuition free. However, while she's still training at the academy, the Third Poppy War breaks out, and she and her classmates get thrown into battle. Right before that happens though, Ren happens to find out that she is a shaman, which means she can call upon the gods. So now she has to figure out how she can use this power to aid her country in this war, and if it's a risk worth taking, even though she's been warned by her master not to do so. So, like I said, had a lot of feelings, and I mentioned already that I don't really like Ren. However, that did not stop me from rooting for her. I still wanted the best for her. I wanted her to succeed. I wanted her to be safe. And that's hard to do sometimes with an unlikable character. On top of that, I was so hell-bent on finishing this book that I missed Station 19 and Grey's Anatomy, which are literally the only shows that I watch live in real time, which is kind of a testament to how much I really wanted to get it done and how much I was pulled into the story. So with that said, while I didn't totally enjoy the characters, I still really enjoyed the plot and the world, and I'm rating this 4.75 stars. If you were someone who is considering reading The Poppy War, I do want to quickly give you a little list of content warnings. Some of those include extreme violence, body horror, gore, and sexual assault. So if those are things that you don't like to read about, then you should definitely stay away from the series. If you have not yet read The Poppy War, I think most people have at this point. I'm super late to the game, but if you haven't and you would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. So let's start with the characters. A lot of the time I didn't like Ren because she is like super hot-headed out of nowhere and loses her temper over something kind of small. And I feel like at times when she did it, she was always like lashing out at the wrong person or at the wrong time, and she could have seriously put herself in danger. But then again, you also have to keep in mind she is a child. Like, she got thrown into this pretty early, and I think towards the end of the book she ends up being 19. But we've been at this for a while. She's been at the academy for a few years now. We kind of do see her grow up a little fast. Yeah, I kind of struggled with Ren a little bit. Some of her decisions, I agreed with some of them. I was like, why the fuck would you do that? But I don't really think she's meant to be a likable character, and also we're in the middle of a war, so I think that's just a part of the story. Also, side note, I tried to look up how to say some of the names. I probably should have just listened to the audiobook, but I did start it and I wasn't loving it. Maybe I'll do that for the Dragon Republic, but I don't know if I'm gonna pronounce the names correctly, some of them, so if I don't, correct me, please. So the next character I want to talk about is Kite. I love him. I like him more than I like Rin. I was very close to being upset when I thought that he died because his regiment had been attacked. I'm so glad he's okay, but I did not like that he and Ren ended on bad terms in the end of this book. So I'm hoping that he sticks around in the next 2 books. I'm hoping he survives the next 2 books. If he doesn't, I'm gonna be very upset. Next is Elton. I didn't really have strong feelings toward Elton at the beginning of the book, but getting to the end and learning more about his past, I definitely feel for him. I think being back in that laboratory really broke him. I was hoping he was gonna last longer in the series, but that does now make Rin the head of the psych, so I guess it worked out. I don't know, I thought we were gonna see him a little longer, at least maybe through the first half of the Dragon Republic, but I guess not. I'm thinking that Rin's master will come back up at some point. I kind of feel like he let her down. I know he warned her and he was trying to protect her, but I don't know, I kind of feel like he just left her hanging. I feel like right after the battle at the academy, Rin was kind of floating in and out of consciousness because she had just called the fire. I feel like one of the other masters says, "You saw what the gatekeeper did," and they were talking about him, right? Maybe? But I'm pretty sure that was like revealed pretty early on, like right after the battle, but she didn't realize it until much later. I don't particularly have strong feelings about the members of the psych. I like Ranza, I think he's funny. And I also feel like each band of misfits always has someone that likes to blow things up. So I think he definitely falls into that trope and I don't mind it at all. The twins are interesting. I hope we see more of them in the next book, which I'm assuming we will. I'm also wondering how things are gonna pan out with the Empress. I was shocked. I did not think that she would turn on them, but I don't know, I guess we'll figure that out soon. Not sure if this is how you pronounce his name, but Neza. I feel like he was a good villain with a redemption arc. I feel like we got like a whole transformation with him just in the first book. I'm glad that he and Ren are friends now. I'm glad that they fought together and that he protected her. I, for some reason, just have this feeling that he is not dead. I don't know if that's just wishful thinking on my part or if he's actually still alive, but I feel like when they were escaping the fog, Alton pulled her out, but she said she saw him get carried away by Federation soldiers, so I don't know. I feel like he maybe survived. Plus, we thought he might have died at the original battle, but he survived. So, I don't know. That's just what I want. Overall, the story was definitely, I mean, it's what you should expect from a war novel, I think. A lot of it was gruesome and hard to read, especially chapter 21. That's the one that everyone talks about. And I'm so glad that other booktubers mentioned it ahead of time, because if I had gone into that totally blind, I'm just glad I didn't go into it blind. And while I hate that I read those things, I think they're accurate for what is happening in the story. I think it makes sense to the plot. I don't agree with Ren's decision and having the volcano erupt on the island, but vengeance, that is a thing. So I don't know, I guess we'll see how that plays out as well. I also want to know what happens when they make it to the Empress, because obviously Ren wants more revenge. I honestly have like no predictions on how that's gonna play out. I really don't know what to expect for the Dragon Republic, and while I was watching like interviews and reviews and stuff, I was making sure that I did not watch anything that included the Dragon Republic because I don't want to be spoiled at all. I have never read the synopsis of it, so I really have no idea what's coming. But I'll be interested to see how it goes. I also just like in the back of my mind am wondering if she's ever gonna just happen to run into her foster family again, or her brother in particular. I think that's really all I have to say. Like I said, it just made me feel a lot of things, because there were times when I was scared for her, or when I was worried about her well-being and her safety, or what's gonna happen to her. And it was always obvious that Brennan was gonna call the Phoenix, of course. But I really don't know what's in store for the next 2 books. So that will definitely be interesting to see. I think I'm definitely gonna read Dragon Republic in April. So stay tuned for that. I did ask on Twitter if I should review the series as a whole once I finished, or if I should do each book individually. Most people said each book individually, so that's what I'm gonna do. Hopefully I'll just keep doing that over the next couple of months. So yeah, if you have read The Poppy War, let me know what you thought. Do not spoil anything for Dragon Republic. So if you've read Dragon Republic and The Burning God, I don't want to know anything. Y'all know I don't read synopses as is. But I am excited to continue with the series, and I am really looking forward to what else Rebecca Kwong has in store. Also, I didn't know she was only 23 when Poppy War was released, and that's impressive. So yeah, there's that. I don't really know if this was like comprehensive, but what are you gonna do? That is all I have for you today, and I will see you in the next video.